Hi, this is Savannah,
And this is Brian from the Dorky Diva Show,
and you're listening to Starboars.
the best place for below average Star Wars.
The Dorky Diva Show presents
Why is this seat so much more comfortable?
the long-awaited sequel to the adventures of the Zolan Dart audio drama.
Have you seen the captain's datapad?
Trying to work, Murph.
Piloting the Zolan Dart by himself,
You do understand the details of this particular job, correct?
I've been on plenty of jobs like this. With you!
Reldar Sias returns to a planet he thought he'd left behind for good.
Is there a reason you didn't mention I was tagging along?
Hopefully having you there will make others think twice about messing with me.
Making new friends
Oh, you must be the pilot of the Zolan Dart, yes?
I guess I am.
and reconnecting with old ones,
Reldar?
Vera?
What are you doing here?
until past grudges resurface.
I'd be minding my own business if I were you.
Well, if your business wasn't being handled right in front of my face, maybe I could mind my own business. We have to leave. Now.
Why the rush all of a sudden?
We're in trouble.
If it isn't little Reldar Sias.
Hey, Yorick. Long time no see.
Roz already knows you're here.
Oh,
Look who decided to come home.
Reldar must confront his origin,
I must admit, I never saw this as being a part of your past, Softshell.
or let it define his future.
I will get what is owed to me, no matter the cost.
because what Roz is trying to do is wrong.
Says you.
My blasters, we're going to need these. Take that, Sleemo!
Who do you think you are?
The Adventures of the Zolan Dart, Episode 2, coming soon.
Welcome to Starboars, best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. I am the Joy Jedi Pete, and our fantastic host, Jason Hondo Ling, has been and found an exciting new Star Wars store right here in the UK. It is the Jedi Archives UK store. It's available both as a traditional storefront that you can visit and also has an online shop. First of all, Jason, welcome back. We haven't had you on in a couple of weeks. How are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Getting all excited, sorting out kid stuff for Christmas, and they've gone Star Wars mad. And yeah, I'm beginning to regret having took my youngest one to the Jedi Archives at the weekend because it's going to cost me a lifeline.
I was going to say perfect timing to find a new Star Wars store just in time for the holiday season. So yeah, I'll let you take it away with your story of how you found Jedi Archives, and then we'll dive into a nice little interview with the store's owner, Ben.
Yeah, so I found the store via the good old Facebook, and I'd seen it and heard different rumours that there was something in Dorchester, which is in good old Dorset here. And sadly, it's about an hour's drive for me, so it's not somewhere I visit on a regular basis. So I made a special attempt when I heard that they had a brand new spanking store opening up. Got down there for the open day, and met Ben and the guys there, and had a thoroughly enjoyable day. They had one of the guys dressed up as Darth Vader. Jamie from the store was dressed up as a Jedi, and they had Mike Berry from the UK R2 builders, who was there with his R2 droid entertaining the crowds. And it was a brilliant, fun day. I touched base with Ben, and we've kept in touch ever since. And I tend to pop down I try to get down there at least once a month to see what new goodies are in the store, which is one of the bonuses about the store because Ben loves updating with new stuff, changing stuff around. So every time you visit it, you quite often find it's a different experience. But I'm going to let Ben talk about that in a minute. But so yeah, so I've been talking to Ben and gone down for a couple of events, and this weekend he had a very special lightsaber building day. So we said to Ben, come on and have a chat with us, talk about the store, and tell people what you're doing.
And that's a perfect segue. So we do have Ben from Jedi Archives UK store here with us. Ben, how are you?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. Nice to chat to you both. Yeah, all good. We had a great weekend. It was, as Jason said, we had a lightsaber building event, and it's something we've been toying with for a while. And we wanted to kind of recreate some of that magic that you can get overseas. But I've got 3 kids, so trying to get all of them over to Disneyland just so I can build a saber is. It feels like the wrong thing to do, and quite expensive. So then we thought, well, hold on, what if we could do something on not quite the same scale? What if we could do something like that? And that was kind of how it was born. And then we very quickly were just like, right, let's get some parts in. Let's give everyone a chance to do it. We'll do it as a first event, see how it goes, and then if people like it and the feedback's good, then we can do it on a more regular basis. And it was a great day. It was a great day, and well, Jason, you were there, and it was kind of a fairly broad range of people that were interested from different backgrounds, different ages, and that kind of thing. But all, by all accounts, had a great time doing something like very different.
Yeah, so I was seeing this on social media. I was sort of following it a bit, and it looked fantastic. So I've got a few questions about it. So, I mean, obviously, it's a saber building event. Obviously, happened yesterday, which was Saturday the 18th of November. Obviously, Life Day weekend. Was that on purpose or just coincidence?
I'd say a happy accident. So it was, it kind of worked out just that we had a day where plenty of us are available. A day, a point in the month where we know we've got everything here. We had time to prepare for it, so make sure that we've got parts checked out, sabers charged. We had most of them charged. We left a few last minute charges. So it's just, it all just fell into place. It's one of those rare occasions when you're running a business where actually it comes together without too many hiccups. Usually that's nothing like how it normally works.
Fantastic stuff. So obviously it was a lightsaber building event. Over 200 parts, I believe, you had on site. So talk us through the process. Was this a case of just turn up and build a lightsaber, or was it a booking process? And then talk us through how people built the lightsabers. Like, did you start with the bottom of the hilt and move up? Or
so we had limited spaces, and the reason we did that was across a couple of. So we did 2 sessions, and the reason we limited the spaces was so that we could make sure that everyone got plenty of time, space, and choice of parts. So if we could open more spaces up, but we wanted to make it feel a little bit more personal so that people can actually enjoy the experience. We didn't want it to become a bit of a bun fight where you've just got like big groups of people scrabbling over parts. And Jamie was there. Jamie was talking people through what the different parts meant. So he was playing the role, if you like, of a Jedi who would take you through building your saber. And because we had a slightly smaller session, it meant that people had time to ask questions and really get involved in, I suppose, just the experience of building your own saber. You started off with a core, so they're all Xenopixel V3 cores. So they're a real nice lightsaber in terms of getting a good balance between cost, functionality, and quality. So they're really, really, really solid starting point. And then from there, you had a choice of a range of emitters, handles, extenders, adapters, pommels. you had just a huge range of parts, and we didn't have any sabers that looked similar, and that was great. Just the huge amount of variety of styles. We had some people making sort of almost like High Republic era stuff, so brighter silvers, using leather wraps, that kind of stuff. And then we had people going more sort of like kendo with quite long handles, almost like a cross between a sword and a pike almost. So there's a huge variety, and that was what was really nice, being able to have a massive range of parts for people to pick from, so that they could spend time testing stuff out. So people weren't picking one and then sticking with it. It was, I'm going to try that one. Let me try a different one. And where we had smaller groups across a couple of sessions, it gave people the time to do that. It wasn't, we didn't want like a conveyor belt experience where you come in and go, right, there's your thing, there's your next thing, off you go, thanks very much. We wanted people to have plenty of time. So I think most of the sessions were about an hour and a half long. So again, it kind of added to the experience of it, made it more enjoyable.
Fantastic. So
yeah,
shoot, Jason.
Can I just sort of add, being there and watching from outside sort of thing, seeing the experience that some of those people were having. There was a wide age range. There was also a wide, there was girls doing it, boys doing it, men doing it. Some getting quite emotional about having the experience building it, and there was a lot of camaraderie between them all as well. Each little group, they all seemed to work together as a team and discuss together, and it was really interesting to watch from the background.
Yeah, I don't think we could have asked for a better intro for us in terms of trying something new. I don't think we could have asked for much better in terms of our experience, where, for us, it's obviously we're a business, but the whole point of what we do and why we do it is to kind of spread the Star Wars love. Sounds a bit cheesy, but to create somewhere where you can come and meet people that are into the same stuff as you and just talk. It's a relaxed place, and exactly like you said, you got them people working together, discussing what they like about each other's sabers, all this kind of stuff. And it was a great group. It was just a quality day. We had a great time.
Were all sessions full?
I think we had one space left in the afternoon, but otherwise it was fully booked.
Fantastic. So obviously, you've highlighted there about the importance of getting the experience right. People having the time to experience all the different parts, experience the magic of creating a lightsaber of their own, which is absolutely fantastic, and it's making me jealous that I really want to be there and want to experience that. So I suppose, instead of adding more sessions, which will maybe give people less time, you could maybe extend it to a weekend rather than a one-day event, maybe?
Yeah, potentially. We've got time where we could open up for a third session. So we could have a morning, midday, and then an afternoon session. So if there was the demand for it, we've got more time to do it. There's more time. We could do a second day if people want to do stuff. We're pretty flexible. So if there's plenty of people that want to get involved, we're fans. We do it because we love it, because it's just our thing, and we're really lucky that we get to be involved in it in that sense. So we don't need much of an excuse to do more Star Wars stuff.
Would you run it as like a yearly event, maybe?
No, I think. Well, at the moment we're planning the next one for February, so in a few months' time. So maybe I think the plan loosely at the moment is that we'll do it on a quarterly basis.
Nice. That sounds awesome.
And we've got some plans in terms of enhancing the experience and just doing more with it. So as each one goes on, we hope to, find new ways of making it better, more immersive, more enjoyable.
Fantastic. What were some of the best lightsabers that really tantalized your taste buds when you've seen people making them? Sort of ones that are more Jedi-like or ones that are more Sith-like?
Well, perks of doing what we do. Jamie and I were here, and we had a sort of like initial run with some of the parts where we ordered some parts in, especially for us, based on the kind of designs we went. I went for kind of like a feudal samurai version. Jamie's gone for much more of a High Republic one. So naturally, you kind of lean towards what you like, and kind of I go, oh, okay, well, I like the ones that look like mine. But actually, when you see them, it's because they're so different. There's kind of something to like in all of them. I mean, I kind of lean towards, I suppose, the more Sith sort of designs, the sort of darker color schemes and designs, but stuff that also looks more utilitarian. But there was amazing designs. There was a really cool, a couple of really cool versions. So one that ended up almost looking like a pike. So I guess the handle must have been, I don't know, Jason, the early session, almost 2 foot long. Some of these ones,
Yeah,
it just looks so
they
cool.
were pretty big.
Yeah, but it was such seeing something so different. And then we had some guys in the second session, and one of the chaps there, he built something that was much more High Republic, so quite clean. Used some really nice leather wraps to use. So he used the brown leather wrap, and again, it was just I was like, actually, that's really cool. So it's, even though it's so personal to each person, and everyone's got their own ideas of what they want it to look like, I don't think there are any that I looked at and thought, yeah, no, that's not my bag. Each one drew on sort of different bits, if you see where I'm going.
I think that's what's so good about Star Wars, that it's so vast, especially now. We've got so many different eras. You've got sort of legends. We've got the original trilogy. We've got the Jedi Council. We've got the High Republic, the Sith. People could have bounty hunters who have lightsabers, all different kinds of things. I suppose now, from all different entry points of Star Wars. So it's great to see that there was something for everybody, I suppose, which is awesome.
I would say as well that very few of them emulated what I would call a legacy saber. They all had something rather quite unique, which really made it. And just watching the faces as they were picking out the parts, and deciding and swapping bits and pieces over, it really did remind me of the episodes from Clone Wars, where you saw the younglings making or Padawans making their first lightsaber. It was quite funny.
That's awesome. So was it cost sort of per slot, or was it sort of per the amount of parts you used?
No, so the way we did it was a fixed cost. You put a small deposit down initially just to secure your place, but it was £225 to book your slot, and that includes the core, the blade, all the gubbins that you need with it, charging cable, etc., etc. And then that included 5 custom parts as well, so you could then pick any parts you wanted within that, which gave people again a bit of flexibility. And then we had some other bits. If you wanted to add stuff on, you could just pay the small amount extra for certain bits. So again, if you wanted an extra emitter, so let's say you couldn't decide between 2 types of emitter, that's no problem. If that's included within your 5 pieces, great, take 2, and then you can change it around when you want. If you want the extra one, not a problem, you can have that there and then. If you want to buy the wrap that goes with it, because we had a few people interested in having the leather handle wraps, you could do that. So we try and be flexible, but also try and make it, I suppose, as simple as possible, so that you know that, hey, I'm going to pay, this is what I'm going to pay, this is what I'm going to get, so I'm going to get some really cool tech with it. And then I know that within that, I've got a degree of flexibility. So you can build a basic saber with an emitter, handle, and a pommel. So you as a minimum, you need 3 parts, and then we kind of go, okay, well, we'll give you 2 extra bits, and that gives you plenty of flexibility in terms of if you want to make it a hand and a half saber, if you want to have slightly more distance between the button and emitter, you can just allow people to have more flexibility with it.
That sounds awesome, Mike. And I think that's a really, that price point for me is fantastic. I think 5 bits allows you to really customize it the way you want and not really give any limitations to your imagination, I suppose, which is awesome. I think I'll have to definitely try and get down for one of these for when you do the next.
Great to see you down. So yeah, keep an eye out for the next date. But we didn't. One of the things that's really important in pretty much everything we do, but especially for this, was that you're getting the quality part, so that you're not paying over the odds for an experience, but you're actually getting something that is, technically very good as well. And that's kind of why we went with those cores, because you're getting a lot of value from what it can do, just in terms of the flexibility that that Saber core offers you, and the quality, the build quality, the fact that you can still duel with them. It ticks a lot of boxes.
It does indeed. I want to dive into a bit of sort of the history of the store. So, sort of, when did this journey begin for you, and sort of take us through the ebbs and flows of the Jedi archives?
Yeah, so I suppose it started originally around 2016, 17, something around that point, but on a much smaller scale. And then I remember there was a point where my wife said to me, I've been sort of sourcing harder to find parts, and ultimately, really, because this is all an extension of stuff that I like. So this started with me just going, well, I wonder if I can just source bits that people want that are hard to find, if we can make a little bit of money on each one without. I've never been a fan of scalping, which I'm sure you guys will have heard the term. I've never been a fan of that. So it was always okay. Well, what if we can find some things that people want, and then if I also want that thing, then maybe it just kind of pays for itself. And that was kind of how it started, as just a hobby, really, and just a way of me not having to explain why I was spending money on a vast amount of Star Wars that was building up. was kind of really how it started. And then from there, it was really my wife, actually, who probably regrets it now, who gave me the encouragement and said, well, why don't you try doing it on a slightly bigger scale then? And I was like, that's not a bad idea. And then that was really where it started. So I think the year we launched the new website, I think, was either late 19 or early 20. I don't know about you guys, but my ability to remember dates as soon as COVID hit sort of changed.
Yeah,
I remember things in terms of pre-lockdown and post-lockdown, but if you want to know what month and year something happened, I've got no idea anymore.
Yeah, it's like I remember things before the Battle of Yavin and after the Battle of Yavin.
yeah, it's exactly that.
No, I don't know. It's crack, isn't it?
It's exactly that. And that was it, really. So then we started online, and we started with a relatively small product line. So we focused on mostly Black Series and some of the gaming elements, and then I suppose it was fairly organic in the sense that it was, as we expanded, it was into things that people were asking us for. And then as we expanded into a new thing, what we'd try and do is understand what was working at the moment, where other people were doing it. And then we'd look at somewhere and go, okay, well, what do we think doesn't quite work there? And then if we feel that there's a gap, is there something that we could do that makes it slightly easier for people, slightly more accessible for people? And that was it, really. It was always kind of, well, if we do it, why on earth would someone choose us over someone else? We didn't want to just start and then have nothing to offer people. If you see what I mean, it was all about if we're going to do it, well, let's try and do it so that we make it easier, whatever that is. We tried to do something slightly different, and that's kind of where we went. And then as it grew, it was then needing more space. And then as we needed more space, we started looking around at more premises, and very quickly reached the conclusion that, well, actually, cost-wise, having a small store versus a warehouse wasn't vastly different. And then the more I started considering that, I thought, well, hold on, what if we could create somewhere where we could do experiences? And that was kind of the pipe dream then, was like, well, let's do the online stuff, and let's try and do the online stuff as well as we can. But then what if we could also have somewhere physical where people could come and enjoy stuff, and we could do more things, and we could create experiences? And that was kind of really, then that became a pipe dream. We then opened our first store October last year. We opened a small place, which is our sort of, I suppose, like a bit of a trial run to see, okay, well, does it work? Is there enough interest in it? Do people want to come and see it, or are people quite happy just doing stuff online? And the feedback was really good, and people did like it. And then we started doing more gaming. We wanted to do more events. So then we thought, okay, well, let's look at somewhere much bigger. And that was when then we moved to the store that we met Jason through. And I mean, really, it's probably happened quicker than we were originally thinking. I mean, pipeline, that pipe dream of having somewhere where we could create events and experiences and things like that. That was always for me. I was like, okay, well, that's like 5 years away. That's a long time away. We're not going to do that yet. And then the support from people has been amazing. We're really lucky that we've got a great customer base of people that like what we do. So we're really lucky in that sense. The support's been great, and that's what's allowed us to do what we do now. So we've now got this space where we can have fun, ultimately.
Yeah, I love that journey out, sort of the opposite to some companies where they might start in-store and then move online, where you sort of built it online and moved in-store, and now you're able to sort of develop into these actual in-person experiences. Obviously, I want to talk about the products that you guys stock. So, obviously, you've mentioned some of them there. But I don't know if you just want to go through everything that you guys stock, both in-store and online.
Yeah.
And then also talk to us more about some of your other experiences. I know you might run games nights in there, X-Wing, for example. Things like that people can do in store as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably, I'd say we're like 95% Star Wars stuff, because again, the business is ultimately an extension of stuff that I think is cool. So we do have other bits in there where we've, again, just because people are interested in it. So we've got a little bit of Warhammer. We've got a little bit of World War II stuff, just because, again, I like it. There's no other reason for that than I like it. So we'll have some fun with that. But otherwise, it's 90% Star Wars, and we've got a mix, everything from books, comics. We've just expanded our comic book range, which we'll be going live with in the next few weeks. So we've got more comics coming out. So books, graphic novels. One of the things we also wanted to do, especially when we moved to the new store, is be able to cater for everyone. So in our online guys, if you like, we are heavily focused towards collectors, and most of the stuff we do is for people that are casual and serious collectors. And one of the things we noticed early on was that actually, if someone was coming in with their kids to see the Star Wars shop in town, very quickly we realized that some of the stuff we had was quite limiting. You know, you take like a Black Series figure now, where you're looking at between, say, £20 and £30, depending on what it is. All of a sudden, they're not really pocket money toys anymore for a lot of kids. And one of the things we noticed quite early on was that parents would come in and go, oh, hey, that's the thing that I want. That's the thing that I'm collecting. But then you'd have their kids would come in and go, oh, there's nothing I can get. And that kind of hit home, because we then thought, well, hold on, we've got kids coming in who want to come in and experience it, and they get to see all the cool stuff, but then we don't want to disappoint them and then go, oh yeah, but sorry, none of this is really for you. So we've then started moving into getting some of the like entry level stuff, some of the more fun stuff. So you'll find like little things like plush toys, where it's just, and don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of adults like me that want that sort of stuff as well. So it works for everyone. Everyone likes it. But we wanted to make sure that we could have stuff where kids could come in, and the Bitty Pops, Jason, are a great example.
Yeah, I was going to say, my daughter has found a new obsession, and everyone has been introduced to her new collection of itty bitty pops that she's getting.
Well, that's
And
great, and that's
she
exactly the sort of thing. Sorry. That's exactly the sort of thing we wanted, is that you can come in and kids can pick stuff up for a few quid, and really enjoy it.
exactly.
So I'm
And
glad,
Jess is
I'm glad she likes it.
Yeah, Jess is obsessed, and I think the next time we come down, she'll be heading straight to the till to purchase another set for her collection. It's great, and that's like you say, there is something for everyone in there.
And again, that was really it's about making it accessible to people of all ages and interests, so that you don't, because like we also, so we've got Black Toys, we've got the vintage collection, we've got some of the premium statues from Sideshow, and we've got Hot Toys as well. And if we only ever had those, that's amazing for the people that are into that stuff. But you're not going to get many kids Jess's age, for argument's sake, Jason, that are going to come in and go, oh yeah. I can't wait to get my Hot Toys Vader. It's just never going to happen. So then they get, and it's exactly the opposite of what we want. Is so that hopefully now we cater for the vast majority of people.
Certainly sounds like you do. Do you have many? Obviously, a lot of things you mentioned, like the new product, the Black Series of Vintage Collection, the new pops. Do you stock many sort of? And I don't mean. I mean, you might stock some pure vintage from like the 70s and 80s, but what about some sort of the 90s stuff? Do you have like
Yeah, so we've
Carl the
got
Fourth?
the 70s and 80s stuff. The original stuff is quite tough in the sense that it's hard to find, and when it does, if it's the right piece, they command a lot of money, and rightly so. But that, just because of the nature of it, is quite a niche audience, and that's where it comes down to, I suppose, me putting maybe more of the business head on, because you could then have an awful lot of space tied up in something that is waiting for that, one person in 1,000 to go, oh, I've been waiting a long time for that thing. So the original run of stuff is hard, and it's also hard trying to find it in a condition that we're happy with. And look, to be fair, there's other people that do that, and they do a really good job. So I'm always a sort of fairly big believer in stay in your lane. Sounds a bit strong, but we know what we're good at. If there's someone else who's really good at that vintage stuff from the original Kenner lines, we don't want to get involved in that. That's if someone else does it and they're doing it, then great. Like we want to let them carry on and do that. We don't need to get involved in that. We have got some of the stuff from the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith. Again, largely, and whether these probably aren't the best business decisions to make, but that's largely just because I remember going into Toys R Us when Revenge of the Sith came out and just seeing wall-to-wall Star Wars, and it was amazing. And then as time's gone on, you've seen that less and less. So we've got a range of some of the Clone Wars and the Legacy collection and the Revenge of the Sith stuff here, which is cool, and it ticks my little nostalgia box. And again, we've got collectors who come in, they know we've got that stuff, and it's great that they're able to find it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have it? So what I'm looking for, I know it's making it a bit more personal. You didn't mention it, so probably not, but the Phantom Menace line, the TC-14 protocol droid from the Trade Federation ship. Do you have him in store?
I will keep an eye out. I'll keep an eye out. I don't think we haven't got any of that line in at the moment. Oh, hold on. Sorry. You said Revenge of the Sith, didn't you?
No, Phantom Menace.
Oh, Phantom Menace. Sorry. No, I don't think so. So leave that with me. I'll do a bit of digging for you.
Which are sort of your top sellers, do you think? Like top selling characters or top selling lines? Like what's the thing that tends to fly off the shelves when it comes in?
It's a tricky one. I mean, I'd say it's fairly even across the board, but then you'll get... so some of the recent Black Series figures have been really, really good. And time-wise, Hasbro have done a pretty good job of getting them out in a timely manner, where the Ahsoka series has just finished. But recently we've had Sabine Wren, Pre Vizsla, Professor Hu Yang, and those guys have come in, and we will put a percentage of our order allocation up for pre-order, and then we'll leave the remaining amount there for one, just in case Hasbro cancel a significant amount of your order, which has been known to happen fairly frequently. So it buys us a little bit of room to make sure that we can deliver on pre-orders. And it also means that we would then retain a little bit of stock so that we can actually put some stuff out in the store, because it's always nice to see it out on pegs. So, but then some of those really popular characters, again, like Sabine Wren, might only be in stock for a couple of days.
Yeah.
But it's... I don't know. You sometimes you feel like you're getting a feel for it, and that character's going to be super popular, and then they aren't. And you spend months looking at them, and you go, okay, well, I didn't get that. We were completely off the mark on that one, and other ones you think, no, I don't think that'll be very popular, and then it just goes. Every collector's different. Everyone connects with Star Wars TV series, films, and characters in their own different and unique way. So it's quite hard to say, but yeah, I'd say certainly recently the Sabine figures are hugely popular. It was a great figure as well. It looked great. The face sculpt was great. The paint on it was amazing. So yeah, rightly so, it was a good figure.
Awesome stuff. Obviously, this weekend as we're speaking, it is obviously Life Day weekend. Obviously, it's been the Jedi Archives lightsaber building event. Obviously, around the corner we have quite big times for retail. Obviously, Black Friday coming up and Christmas. Obviously, do you want to tell us what people can find in the case of Black Friday and Christmas promotions at Jedi Archive?
Yeah, so we've got a few bits going on at the moment. We're looking at adding more as the next couple of weeks go on. Black Friday is always a bit of a weird one for us because we try throughout the year and just be as competitive as we can be all year. So it means we haven't got sort of vast amounts of stuff that's been marked up at, say, a higher price, and then we're sort of waiting for it. We try and just be as competitive as we can throughout the year. But we have got, in the Black Friday sale, we've got some really cool stuff from Star Wars Shatterpoint. So really good miniatures game, slightly bigger scale than Star Wars Legion, but they're fantastic. So even if you're just a hobbyist and you're not interested in playing the game, the miniatures look amazing. They'll be an awful lot of fun to paint. So we've got, I think it's about 35% off those at the moment. It might be 40% on those. We've got some Hot Toys figures that have got some really big savings on. So we've got the Mando and Blurg figure, which is an amazing one. I mean, it's an absolute monster. It's huge. It sits, I think it's 2.5 foot tall by the time you get the Mandalorian on top of the Blurgs. It's a massive piece. So it's, if you've only got a small display area, it's probably not going to tick that box because you need somewhere fairly sizable. A small dining room table would probably fit that one for you. But that's got, I think, about £100 off at the moment. So there are some really cool, very cool pieces in there. I think some of them are already sold out. And some of the popular ones were things like Anakin, who after the amazing episode in Ahsoka, where we see Anakin in Clone Wars armor, all of a sudden he was super popular. So we had him reduced for Black Friday. So no surprise that he went quite quickly. We've got some Black Series figures in there as well. So there's a few bits, so a fairly broad range, and some pretty decent savings on there for people if they're into, if that's something they're looking for.
Fantastic. Be sure to check that out. Is there anything else you want to say about the Jedi Archives, about what's going to be happening before we move on to some more Star Wars chat?
No, I think, again, look, we're really lucky that we've got a great customer base. So, if nothing else, we're super grateful that people like what we do and have supported us through the years. And yeah, I do. I consider us lucky that we're able to do what is most of the time something very, very cool. And we're very lucky. We're very lucky to be able to do what we do. By all means, yeah, it's great to see people online. We try and keep in touch with people as much as we can through social media and try and get to know people because we love hearing about what people are collecting, what they're up to, what they're into. We love hearing what people say about the Star Wars shows that are going on. And then we love meeting people in the store as well. So hopefully we'll see some of your listeners in the store at some point. And you guys. I know, Jason, we'll see you because Jess is going to drag you down fairly often. And it'd be great to see you here at some point as well.
Yeah, so I'll take it on the train from the Toon and head down. I definitely would want to fit that in.
Well, it's a fair old jaunt, so we'll stick the kettle on for you.
Yeah, well, Jason will have to put us up probably, so you better have my favourite things in the fridge, hopefully.
Newcastle brown ale, would that be?
Yeah, and peas pudding and ham stotties. Yeah.
What more does man need?
Indeed, sausage rolls. That's what I want. But yes, no, I definitely do want to come down because, like I said, it's Jason's always spoke really highly of the store when having a flick through online and obviously follow on social media. It does look like somewhere that I wish I had somewhere like that closer to home to go to. So
give us a few more years, mate. We'd love to open up a second place. So give us a few years.
Expansion to the north.
Expansion to Newcastle. There we go. We'll get it up here. No, we're going to ask some Star Wars questions. I think get the Star Wars chat going. So I suppose we'll just take it in turns. Jason, to sort of we'll quick fire some questions at Ben. I'll go first. Ben, what is your favourite Star Wars novel that you've ever read?
Ooh. That's a tough one. I mean, normally I'd say something like Thrawn. I think Thrawn is so the new trilogy Thrawn. Love the original run by Timothy Zahn, but the new stuff, his new trilogy, that first book where he's discovered by the Empire, I couldn't put it down. So that for me will always be one of the tops. But then one of the ones that caught me out by surprise that I wasn't expecting to be as good was Dark Disciple, which is Quinlan Vos and Sarge Ventress, and yeah, again, wasn't expecting to like that one as much as I did, but that's definitely one of the ones I recommend now, and I love the questions it raises around the morality of the Jedi Order, and in terms of the Force light versus dark, and that sort of grey blend between the two, and how good and bad a lot of the time is based on perspective. So if you've not read Dark Disciple, 100% recommend that. And Thrawn, I think anyone could read Thrawn and just know that it's such a quality book.
Yeah, I've read both, and both are fantastic. Obviously, Dark Disciples, of course, based on an arc of Clone Wars scripts that was never finished after the series was cancelled. I believe the scripts were written by Katie Lucas, I think, as well. The book wasn't, but
that's a shame. Such a shame that we didn't get that. I'd still love to see that in live action or animated.
Definitely. Jason, you got a Star Wars question for Ben?
Yeah, Ben, overall, which one is your favourite character?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Oh man, so many. Can I give you a few honourable mentions before I give you my favourite?
Yeah, sure, go on then.
Krennic might be a bit out there. I really like Krennic. Ben Mendelsohn's great, but Krennic is a character. I love the infighting that he kind of represents, the sort of all the dirty underside of the Empire. I really enjoyed what he represents. Bo-Katan, but that's largely because of Katie Sackhoff and the reasons I'll keep to myself. I suppose top for me, it's probably Ahsoka, just because she's got an amazing character arc. She's a great female character, a great female lead, and just that journey from the first Clone Wars episode where she's a bit annoying, like most teenagers are. I certainly remember when I was a teenager and I was very annoying, and she goes from that through to finding her feet, finding herself, her confidence, and then becoming kind of what we see in the Ahsoka series. So I think she might be my favourite.
Yeah, you've actually gone for almost my favourite as well, so, and pretty much for the same reasons.
Peter, what about you? Who's your favourite?
Ooh, I think it changes depending on what's happening in my life at the time. But I think for me, I've always loved Luke Skywalker. The farm boy who became the hero, who then went through some troublesome times. Had to fight his own father, decide not to kill his dad. How that ultimately saved the galaxy almost in that moment. To then, going through becoming this legend and dealing with the pressure of that, and dealing with the pressure of having a grandson who you want to do better by, but maybe you can't, and then his ultimate sacrifice at the end is I think there's a bit in the novelization of The Last Jedi where it's sort of Luke, Grandmaster told me you always save your best trick till last, and that's when he sort of force projects across the galaxy and helps the whole rebellion escape. And I think that's quite a powerful motif of like being that at peace that you know that you're not going to survive that, but you ultimately do it to show your grandson, not your grandson, your nephew, sorry, that he doesn't know it all, but then also to give the galaxy hope. So probably Luke Skywalker. Honorable mentions would be probably Obi-Wan Kenobi, Kanan Jarrus. I love those guys. Proper Jedis. Non-Jedis, who do I like? I like... trying to think.
Hondo Ohnaka.
Everyone's favourite scoundrel.
Yes.
I love some minor characters. I joke about today. I always joke, like, we've got I think it's Balatik, who's like works for he works at the Guavian Death Gang, but his line is like tell that to Kanja Club, and like just characters like that who like just have one line but like incite so much thought like of what they say. It's just Star Wars is rich, full of great people. Obviously, I wouldn't name some High Republic Jedi, but by the time I've named them, some of them might have died off. It's absolutely, I love the High Republic, but don't get attached. Like wow, before you know it, like they're gone as like. That's probably my favourites.
I would have to mention Thrawn as well. Just easily one of the best Star Wars villains. I mean, I don't think you'll ever top someone like Vader, but I love how menacing and calculated Thrawn is. Thrawn reminds me of the Bond film From Russia with Love, where you've got Robert Shaw as almost like Bond's counterpart for Spectre, and he's almost just as suave, just as sophisticated, but ruthless. And that's kind of what Thrawn reminds me of. Someone who's like super calm, super collected, but genuinely dangerous and threatening. And enhanced by both the animated series, the Ahsoka series, and the book. Again, one of my favorite villains.
And just getting started, I think, because I think there's a lot more Thrawn to come. So exciting times for Thrawn fans. My next question is, what is your favorite piece in your own collection?
Oh,
obviously you help all of us Star Wars fans add to our collections with the store. But what's your favorite piece of your collection?
That's really tough because I'm like a moth to the flame with this stuff. Every time something comes through, it's like it just being surrounded by temptation. I've got a signed Funko. I've got Bo-Katan signed by Katie Sackhoff. That is up there. That is definitely one of my favourite pieces. It would probably be one of the Hot Toys figures. Tough to say which. Always really like Jango Fett. So the Hot Toys Jango Fett that I've got is just a really, really well made figure. Love the character, love the armor design. So I think that might be up there. We've got Hot Toys Cody as well. That's a really tough question, and so we've got a lot of our stuff on display. And actually, this weekend, someone asked me, "Well, can I buy that item?" I was like, "Yeah, sorry, that's a display one." She was like, "Well, so?" I was like, "No, sorry. What I mean is, it's mine. I don't want to sell it. It's mine. I really like it."
Yeah.
So I'd probably at the moment lean towards the Hot Toys Jango Fett. It looks wicked. It's so cool.
And I've got an add-on question. Is that what's one thing that you don't own that you wish you did have? So the holy grail item you're searching for your collection.
Ooh. That is an interesting one. That's a real toughie.
Mine is I don't know why, but I've always just been obsessed with it. Is that I really want an original print Revenge of the Jedi poster, like that. So obviously before they changed it to Return of the Jedi, like some promotional material went out. So and you can buy the reprints and they look great, and I have a nice print downstairs. That's like just a modern print, but one day I would love to own like an original poster from 1983, like of Revenge of the Jedi.
That's cool. That is cool. I'll tell you one thing that I have. I keep umming and ahhing over is the E111 blaster, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the company that makes it. But it's the screen accurate one.
Is it?
God, it completely escapes me.
There's a few different companies who make them, isn't there? I think Anvios, do they make some of them? I probably mispronounced that big time, I'd imagine.
It's the one made at the Shefton Design Studios. That's the one I'm thinking of.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, and it's so that is probably one that I keep coming back to that I haven't quite, pardon the pun, pulled the trigger on yet. But that is one of those ones that just I remember as a kid seeing the Star Wars films for the first time, and I think what works really well with Star Wars is that there is just enough of it that uses real world stuff that makes you feel so connected with it, that makes it feel so real, despite being such a sort of like fantasy setting, if you see what I mean. And there's just enough of that real world stuff that brings you in and makes you feel really connected to it. And the Stormtroopers, super iconic and just always loved as a kid. And yeah, that E11 blaster is probably that. It's probably that.
It just feels so like the world feels lived in, doesn't it? It's like very like visceral. Like it's it's not too, although it's a fantasy story about magic. The like how it's depicted on screen, through everything, through the costumes to the props to the design aesthetic, it's all very lived in and visceral and real. So
and it works. Everything feels like it's got a purpose. So like the ships, the Millennium Falcon, for example, isn't a sleek, typical, like 1980s sci-fi ship that would normally be sort of all silver and all that kind of thing. It looks like it's built. Well, it's kit bashed from model kits, but it looks exactly like you feel like it should do. It looks like a thing that is meant to be used and is grubby and it's got bits missing. It looks exactly like someone like Han would use over the years, and it works perfectly.
Certainly does. Jason, your next question?
Yep, it's gonna have to be, what is your favourite series or film?
Ooh, the big one.
The big one.
Caravan of Courage. No, I'm joking.
Everybody's favourite.
Yeah. Oh, it's so tough. So tough. And I think, Peter, you said like everyone connects with something differently at different points in their life. And depending on where you're at and what's going on in your life, you'll connect with stuff differently. So I remember when I saw Rogue One for the first time, I was just blown away by it because it felt like the perfect balance between a respect to everything the original films did, but bringing on new designs, new characters, all of the modern CGI, but still doing the practical side of it as well. So Rogue One is up there. The Mandalorian is just superb. I remember waiting up really early for Disney Plus's launch in the UK. So I think I was up until sort of 2 a.m. waiting to watch the first couple of episodes of that and just being blown away. Loved that Western bounty hunter vibe to it that I had going on. But then for different reasons, like the Kenobi series, and I know a lot of people, there's the Kenobi series that isn't perfect, but I think the Kenobi series might be the one that I've been the most emotionally connected to, and probably the one that stirred the most emotions, just where you get the closure from the Revenge of the Sith. And, that last part of Revenge of the Sith is it's super tragic, really, because you've got all the 66 characters that are probably going to snuff it at some point, but you still really like them. And so you've got the slaughter of the Jedi, and then you've got the way the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan ends, and then you kind of don't see that for a long time. And I just, for me, the Kenobi series was maybe not the best written, and it's by no means perfect, but I think it's the one that hit me in the feels the most, if that makes sense. Yeah, it just got me. It just got me seeing those two come back together, and also, I suppose, like the behind the scenes stuff. So Hayden Christensen coming back, and the you can tell how emotionally connected he was. And so when I was watching it, it wasn't just about the characters. I was also thinking about the fact that these guys, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen are coming back together after almost 20 years, and things like Hayden Christensen got a lot of hate from people for his portrayal of Anakin, and so he had a really tough time, and so it was the culmination of all of that into that series, and it's probably the one. And then young Leia, God, the scenes where she's asking about her parents, and my little one had not long been born, so again, as a parent myself, you'll kind of then you draw your own emotions from that. And Jess, I don't know if you've got a similar thing, but it hit me from a lot of different angles for a lot of different reasons. So it's I connected with that one quite a lot.
I've literally over the last week just rewatched Kenobi, and I think in hindsight I hadn't realised how much there was in that series and how heartfelt it was. And rewatching it sort of hit me. And like you say, the scenes with young Leia, the actress Lyra, she was amazing, and finding an actress like that was just brilliant.
She's
And
incredible. She's incredible.
Yeah. And then the way I think also obviously by now, obviously Ewan McGregor's a father and been through it all, and the way he is with her, I think it was just brilliant. And yeah, it's a series that the more I reflect on it, the more I think actually that there was something quite special. Although I am quite vocal that I don't want them to do another series, I'm quite happy with what we've been left with.
I'm so torn on that, because I loved, I'd love to see the Rebels arc with more than Obi-Wan. I'd love to see I'd love to see some of that in live action, because I think it would be incredible. But then, like you, I'm also kind of do you know what? It wasn't a bad way to end. You don't need to overdo it. The lovely little scene with Qui-Gon at the end, again, right in the feels. See, I'm torn. I'm so torn on that one. I mean, nothing's ever going to trump Empire, but yeah, the Kenobi series just an emotional roller coaster.
I hope you're ready to be torn again, because my last question is probably going to be a very tough one, but you need to give us an answer, I'm afraid. So my last question is, so we're at a point now, there's a lot of Star Wars that we've had, and you've watched it all and enjoyed it all. So I'm going to give you a choice.
Okay.
You can either still watch everything that's been and enjoy it, or in order to watch new Star Wars, you can never watch what's been again. So you can still remember it, and you've seen it as many times as you've seen it, but you can never go back and watch it. And you have to pick one.
I would probably go with not being able to watch the old stuff ever again. I've answered that a lot quicker than I thought I would. But I've always, if I could have a superpower, or if I could master the Force, I would want my ability to be able to pick films that I've watched and forget that I've seen them, so I can watch them anew each time. Because I think there's nothing better than seeing a story for the first time, especially Star Wars stuff, where you don't know what's going to happen. And I don't think anything trumps that feeling of either being sat at home waiting for the new series, or being sat in the cinema and seeing something brand new for the first time. I think that's really hard to beat when you're watching stuff. So I'd have to go with not be able to watch the old stuff, but so I can keep that magic of seeing brand new things.
I would make the same choice. It's right. You still remember it all, so it's like when new stuff comes out, you can still piece it all together storyline wise. But I think you're right. Like, what is going to come? A, we don't know, and B, there's nothing better than experiencing that new story, like for the first time, is there? So I would definitely. Although it seems hard on paper when you break it down that way. I think the answer presents itself. Jason, hand over to you for the last question for Ben.
Right. This is what I've been trying to work out how I'm going to phrase it. Um, what are your hopes for additional series or films in Star Wars? What do you really want to see?
Oh, that's a great one. Again, I'm torn on season 2 of Kenobi. So I don't know on that one. I think they could do some great stuff, but then every time you do something new, there's a chance that you ruin that character, or that you certainly you leave not ruin. It's probably a strong phrase because none of it's been ruined, but sometimes the unknown is might be better. I mean, the Book of Boba Fett is maybe not a bad example of that. I still really enjoyed it, and I often take the view with new stuff that's coming out with Star Wars is that, do you know what, I'm not going to be overly critical. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to enjoy it, and then as long as I got to the end of it and I go, I've just spent 45 minutes or an hour of my life watching that thing, and I'm happy about it, then that's cool, and that ticks my boxes, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it. But again, Boba Fett wasn't perfect. What would I really like to see? I would love to see some sort of cross between live action Clone Wars and Band of Brothers. A really gritty piece following a group of clones through training, or group of stormtroopers through training, and whether that's you following the in inverted commas the bad guys, but just getting to know these group of people and what they're going through. A little bit like Andor does, where it kind of explores what it's like to be a regular person in this world of magic and lightsabers, where actually, if you're a regular person living under the Empire, it's pretty awful, unless you're part of it, in which case maybe it's not too bad. But yeah, I'd love to see a gritty live action Clone Wars with that sort of vibe to it. That's top of the list, absolutely top of the list.
That would be pretty awesome.
I think most of the other stuff that they're doing, I'm looking forward to. So again, I try to keep a fairly open mind with it. So things like Skeleton Crew, I'm quite looking forward to. I'm trying to keep an open mind with it. Things like the Acolyte, I think will be really cool. I do like stories where it encourages you to ask questions about good and bad and perspective. And the Acolyte, I think, would be a really interesting one for that. So anything like that, I'm well up for. Something that forces you to not just take the usual kind of, oh, here's the good guys, here's the bad guys, and that's all they are. And I like it the more we blur those lines and the more we ask questions about good and bad being different perspectives or different sides of the same coin, within reason. I mean, slaughtering younglings in the Jedi Temple is still pretty awful. But apart from that, yeah, gritty Clone Wars, that's what I want to see.
Gritty Clone Wars, bring it on. That brings an end to sort of our lovely Star Wars chat, although we could probably go on forever with even more Star Wars questions. We'll have to tail that for another time, I think. We'll definitely have you back on, Ben, if you would like that.
Yeah, sounds great. No, I've really enjoyed it, and yeah, thank you both for inviting me on. So
obviously, anybody who wants to go to the actual store of the Jedi Archives can obviously go to the Jedi Archives, 9 Brewery Square, Dorchester, Dorset. Is that right?
That's the one, yeah.
Fantastic. Obviously, you're on Instagram, Jedi Archives UK Store. Is there anywhere else you want to direct the people? Maybe the website?
Yeah, so you can find us on online. It's www.jediarchives.store. But if you just put Jedi Archives UK into Google, we'll come up. But you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. Reach out, come and see us. We're Star Wars fans, so we don't need much excuse to talk about Star Wars.
Indeed. Now, Ben, I'm going to ask Jason the hardest question of the episode. Jason, where can the people find you on social media?
At Hondoling.
Yay! 130 episodes, he gets it. Get in. Obviously, you can follow the podcast on Twitter, or as it's now called, X, at BoardStar. You can follow the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at Star Wars Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, now X, the Geordie Jedi Pete. Thank you very, very much for listening. Make sure you head over to the Jedi Archives to pick up some sweet Star Wars merchandise for yourself or a loved one this holiday season. May the Force be with you all. And remember, always tell that to Kanja Club.
Hello, Star Wars listeners. This is Savannah Odit. You might know me as host of The Dorky Diva Show with my co-host Brian Balance. I am also producer of The Adventures of the Zolan Dart, which is a Star Wars-inspired audio drama that we produced over the last year. If you love stories about smugglers, courage, heroic characters, and maybe a few foes along the way, you should go to thedorkydivashow.com and listen to The Adventures of the Zolan Dart today.
Shout! We've got your pigs.
Were any of the critters harmed?
What did you do now?
I didn't do anything. I just freaked out for no reason.
It was nice doing business with you again. Maybe next time we could deliver something less temperamental.
Now, what you call temperamental, I call fun.
Hey, is there a place nearby where I can make some repairs?
3 clicks south of here, you'll find a small spaceport. They should have what you need, as long as it's nothing too big.
Dynamic class? My stars, you don't hear about many of those still being space-worthy.
It's been in my family for a while.
She's pretty great. Any chance you have a hover cart we can use to load up?
I'll check out the HoloNet to see if anything new has come up in the sector.
My name is Sereth Khan. I am the chief here on Kamai. My people and I have been experiencing food shortages as of late due to unforeseen natural occurrences. We are looking to hire someone.
I say we take this one. The pay is great, and it's the type of job we're familiar with.
Welcome. You must be Captain Otoa. I've already sent word to Pack 2 to expect you in the next cycle or so.
You told him we were coming before we even accepted the job. That's rather presumptuous, isn't it?
Perhaps, though once I received confirmation that you were interested and on your way here, I couldn't help but hope.
Fair enough. Well, we'll be back as soon as we can.
Well, that's not good.
Is that blaster fire I hear?
So you're the one.
Captain, it sounds like they want to do this the hard way.
I love when they got some fight in them.
This is bad. This is bad. We're about to have a lot of company.
I'll see you soon.